nuts, mixture of nuts, is referred to as ajid mushkil gusha, or literally it's considered as a kind of, as a way of maybe opening up, literally like untying the problems that you might experience in the new year, or untying your problems, problem-solving nuts, they're basically called. And again, as in many other traditions of the new year, this is a time to look ahead, to feel optimistic, and to sort of literally embody this process of rebirth, both spiritually and physically. And much of the tradition that is associated with it is meant to bring this sort of cleansing and this renewal, but also a very optimistic renewal. So it's a moment of optimism, that even if you're putting behind a year of problems, that you can look ahead to a year of, vigor. Now, of course, the most significant moment, or the most significant event in conjunction with the new year is, of course, this very beautiful table spread, which is called a sofre. Okay, sofre literally means table spread, and this sofre is typically referred to as the half-seen sofre. Now, there are a lot of traditions that are associated with the sofre as well. There have been actually articles, believe it or not, written on the origins of this very, in some ways, rather ambiguous tradition, in that we can't exactly historically pinpoint when it started and how it evolved. But there are a couple of theories, and I'm going to quickly take you through them because they're rather interesting. One of the theories is that although we refer to this sofre nowadays as half-seen, meaning the 7 S's, one of the theories is that before the Islamic invasion of Iran, this sofre was actually referred to as half-sheen, the 7 shes, sh, the sh sound, which in English is a double consonant of sh. And some scholars actually even argue that it's for that reason that when you look at the half-seen table today, there are still many objects on it that begin with the letter sh. For example, I don't see it here, but I think there must be on one of these two sofres a candle. The Persian word for candle, for example, is sham. Okay, and again, of course, it symbolizes light, health, vigor. And then another one that begins with sh is shirini, which means sweets. And of course, the symbolism of sweets really doesn't require a lot of explanation. You certainly look forward to a sweet year. And in preparation, actually, of the half-seen, I should emphasize that, again, many, similar to how, for example, leading up to Christmas, many families spend days beforehand making cookies and, little, what do you call it, little, Christmas tree cookies or, snowman cookies, etc. In Iran also, typically a week or 10 days, even 2 weeks before the actual day of celebration, particularly the women, this is typically a womanly activity, women, older women, etc. of the family, begin cooking these very traditional sweets that also grace the half-seen table. And children typically like to be a part of it too, rolling the dough. And I want to say, I would tell you, there's certain sweets which you actually saw coming into the building that most Iranian half-seen tables would include, but there are also some regional differences. My family, for example, is from the northern part of Iran, and we usually have certain sweets that other Iranian households might not have, and vice versa. So some of that, of course, varies regionally, but more or less the tradition remains the same. So just to take you back to the half-seen. So initially it was believed it was half-sheen, and then once the Islamic invasion occurred, the belief was that because the Arabs do not have the letter shed, the letter shed does not exist in the Arabic language, that due to the Arab influences on Iranian society, that tradition was then converted to the half-seen table. In any event, we can't prove that definitively, But nonetheless, the tradition has continued and has reached us to this day. So let me spend a few minutes talking about the typical objects that grace the half-scene table. And one other point that I want to make, the word haft in Persian means 7. So there are 7 S's, and as you know, anyone sort of familiar with biblical history, etc. I mean, the 7 days of creation, the number 7 is also similarly very important in this cosmology, Zoroastrian cosmology. And so it's not without reason that the number 7 has been chosen to denote the objects that are needed for this half-scene table. So typically the objects that you will find, if you don't mind, I'm going to start picking 1 or 2 of them up, is the most important, of course, is greens, like greenery, grass, as you can see over here. This beautiful wheatgrass that you now see in most of the greengrocers around the Northeast for sure. The tradition actually is that approximately 2 weeks before the new year, you sort of begin to grow the sabzeh, and usually it's either wheat, barley, or lentil sprouts. They grow in a dish, and of course they symbolize, verdure, green, rebirth, health, life, and of course nature. And again, nature was a big part of the culture of Zoroastrian Iran, but even the culture of, much of 19th century modern Iran as well, because the society still, for a large part, was agrarian, and the roots with the land remained very, very powerful and important symbol of connectedness between people and place. And so that continues to be symbolized in this tradition of growing your own sabzeh, or grass, for the new year. I want to confess to you that there's a lot of, people have certain strengths in life, and mine was not growing a sabzeh. So typically you're supposed to just grow it in a dish of water, or slightly water it and cover it, and then the sprouts come up. And every year that I tried to do that, I got nothing. And I became very superstitious that eventually, that this was not boding well for my new year. So now I started to plant them in soil, and they actually sprout beautifully. So you can, I guess, cheat every now and then and get away with it. Another one of the very important traditional objects is a paste, a wheat paste, called a wheat germ paste called samanu. And this it symbolizes affluence. It also symbolizes, again, going back to wheat, sort of the connectedness with nature, the ground, but mostly it also symbolizes vigor and so on. Senjed, which is the dried fruit of the oleaster tree. I'm sorry, I had to look this up because I don't know the actual translations, and I'm relying on the work of scholars here to say this. But the senjed, which is these bits of dried fruit, it symbolizes love, and what better omen for the new year than that. Well, apples don't need a whole lot of explaining in the sense that they're obviously fruit, but of course apples in this context become a symbol for beauty and health, and also youth, I would argue. Seed or garlic, which you see a whole plate of garlic here, is meant to sort of emphasize the medicinal value of garlic, symbolizing medicine. Sumac, symbolizing the color of the sun or sunrise, and also I guess fire too. Sedke or vinegar symbolizes age and patience. Sombol, the hyacinth plant, which is so aromatic, and it's basically the smell is actually filling up this auditorium.